Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rob Finlayson, and I'm here today to speak with you all about employability and learning outside of the classroom at Carleton University. It is a distinct pleasure to be able to speak with you today about this topic because this is something Carleton does really, really well. Tons of opportunities at the university to develop yourself professionally as you progress through your undergraduate studies. Panel today that's going to speak to you about different facets of this aspect of your studies at the university. And it's a big topic, so I want to make sure we have time to cover everything over the next 30 minutes. Some housekeeping before we begin. You are able to ask questions. This is an opportunity for you to get answers to your questions, and we're looking forward to getting those questions. So all that to say, as we move through these presentation topics, I invite you to ask your questions in the chat, and I will be manning and answering those questions. And for questions that I think will be really beneficial for everybody, I may jump back into the presentation and ask the panelists to speak about those topics themselves. So all that to say, please don't be shy and ask questions. I'm going to just quickly share my screen so we can look at some slides, and then I am going to invite everybody to introduce themselves to you. So just to mention who I am again, my name is Rob Finlayson, and I've been with Carleton University for about 12 years now. Over that time, I've had wonderful opportunities to meet with students from all over the world, and perhaps had a chance to meet some of you as well. So it's a distinct pleasure to have this virtual opportunity during this time of living and working from home. Also, one quick point I'd share with you is I myself am a former international student. I've studied outside of Canada, and I can speak to you very honestly about my experiences in international education. It's a wonderful opportunity, and I think you will be developing yourselves in all kinds of interesting ways. So congratulations on embarking on this journey. I know you won't regret it. So that's me. Caitlin.
Hi, everybody. Good morning or good afternoon. My name is Caitlin McGregor, and I'm the Assistant Manager of Cooperative Education here at Carleton. So happy you joined us, and we'll chat soon.
Thank you, Caitlin. And Sakura.
Everyone, my name is Sakura, China. I'm currently doing my third term co-op at Carleton, like at Health Canada. I'm really glad that everyone coming to this event, and feel free to ask me any questions, and I'll always be there.
Thank you, Sakura. And our panelist Pavan will be joining us shortly, we anticipate, and so I'll have him introduce himself at that time. So Caitlin, you were going to speak to us about cooperative education at Carleton University.
Okay, Rob, thank you. I'll take it from there. So cooperative education, you probably have some questions about what it is. It's an integrated learning program, and that means that Carleton students do 3 or 4 work terms, 4 months in duration. So the 3 or 4 work terms are dependent on your program, and they alternate between study periods and work periods. It's full-time paid employment. You heard that right, paid employment. And you get support from co-op staff all along the way. So right from resume writing, cover letters, to applying for jobs, preparing for interviews, and while you're on the work site itself. We'll go next one. Thanks, Rob. So some advantages of cooperative education at Carleton U. So the first is choice. We have over 100 programs that offer the co-op option, and chances are you may have applied to one of them. The other huge advantage of Carleton's co-op program is our location. So we're home to, Ottawa is home to key players in Canadian business, high tech, and government, of course. And we'll talk about some of those key employers momentarily. We offer longer work terms. So some programs, students can do back-to-back work terms of up to 16 months in duration, and that really allows for more challenging opportunities and in-depth experience for our students. And finally, we have a very extensive employer database. Over 5,000 employers are contacts that we have, and we have a whole team of business development experts whose sole job is to go out and find great opportunities for you. So they're always on the hunt to add to our employer database, and you'll find lots and lots of interesting opportunities available. And next one. Thanks, Rob. So where can students work? So I highlighted just 3 programs that are large in population and that are typically of great interest to students from many different countries. So I mentioned the Bachelor of Engineering, I have the Bachelor of Commerce down here, and the Bachelor of Computer Science. And I won't read every single employer on this list. I just threw out some names that I thought might have international recognition with you folks. And you can see that we have a lot of very reputable employers, some big names in the business industry, in high tech, as well as in engineering firms. So you can just take a look there. If you have any questions, of course, afterwards, I'm happy to answer them. So the benefits of participating in co-op, there are many, and I had to keep this short, but first of all, you can apply your academic learning. So what you're learning in the classroom, you can really translate that into the workplace and I think get a sort of more well-rounded education because of it. You get to explore career options. You get to find out what you like, maybe what you don't like. Co-op work terms can be with the same employer, or like Sakura will tell you momentarily, you can find different employers and get different experiences during those shorter work term options. You get Canadian work experience, which I think is absolutely huge for international students and certainly for anybody who wants to work in Canada after graduation. Reducing student debt is always a big one. That goes for domestic as well as international students. We all pay fees and we all have tuition debt. So earning some money along the way is really, really helpful in helping reduce that. And finally, upon graduation, on your diploma, you get something called the co-op designation, which is really cool. It's a notation that's special to the co-op program, and you get that if you complete your work terms accordingly. So next one. So a few things to note, there are eligibility requirements. So if you applied to Carleton and you selected the co-op option, that is the only thing you need to do right now. That is a signal to us that you're interested in co-op and that we are basically counting you as part of the program. We will assess you once you're here though, based on how you do in your Carleton courses. So I'm happy to field some questions about grade requirements, but they're fairly achievable. They are all posted on our website if you want to check them out. There are mandatory fees. They're fairly small, but there's administrative fees and work term fees, so just something to be aware of if you participate in co-op. Co-op will, it says may, I have to change that. Co-op will extend your degree typically by 1 year, and that only makes sense because you're spending a good chunk of it out in the workforce. And it is important to note that government positions, while possible to obtain, are more difficult for international students simply because of security clearance and because preference is often given to Canadian citizens. But that doesn't mean there aren't other fantastic job opportunities waiting for you, or that security clearance can't be gotten, because Sakura will tell you a little bit about how she did it. And next one. Oh, yay. Now I get to stop talking and, for the most part, and introduce a wonderful student named Sakura, who's a 4th-year Bachelor of Communications and Media Studies. She is from China, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her experience with co-op. So we thought this would be sort of an interview type setup. So I'm going to ask her a few questions, and you'll get to hear from her. So welcome, Sakura, and thank you so much. So can you tell us a little bit about the co-op jobs you've had and the kind of work you've done?
Yeah, so my first co-op term was at Carleton, Department of Indigenous and Canadian Studies. The department was developing a project, so I was helped with the social media platforms and designed the department's new website. And my second job was also at Carleton, Department of Information Technology Service. I was mainly responsible for something like website migrating and updating. It was fun because I also offered WordPress, which is a website management system, to Carleton's faculty members. And now this is my last co-op term. I've been working at Health Canada since January and responsible for publishing web pages on Canada.ca. It was a great experience. I've learned a lot and I met different people. I will never forget that. Yes, thanks.
Thanks, Sakura. How was your has your co-op experience helped you decide what you want to do after you graduate?
Well, I would say the co-op program has helped me to understand myself because it offers me a chance to discover what I can do in the field of communication and know what's good for me. For example, when I just started working, I realized that I'm good at communication and I have a poor performance when processing data. So in the future, even though I'm not sure what I'm going to do in the future, but like at least I know what I'm good at and what types of job I like or dislike.
Important. Why would you recommend co-op to other international students?
Well, I highly recommend co-op program for international students. There are three reasons for recommending because so I want to say for students who want to become a permanent resident in Canada, well, if you don't have any experience after graduate, I would say it's really hard to get a job. Well, it's my own experience. I have a lot of my friends who cannot find a job after graduation. Why? Because they have a lot of competitors. The competitors are someone who has great working experiences, someone who is native speaker, and they know the Canadian cultures. And the second reason is it is a really great opportunity for international students to develop their language skills, meet different people, and learn different culture. I also found teamwork skills is really important during working, so it is better to know some workplace etiquette earlier. And third, as I mentioned, it can help you decide what you want to do in the future or what you're good at. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. You were able to obtain security clearance for your current role with the government. Can you tell us a bit about the process?
Yeah, so for the basic security screening, you just need to provide your 5 years background information in Canada. Suppose you're in Canada for less than 5 years. In that case, I think you will need to maybe check with your supervisor and confirm your eligibility. So the process is when you got an offer, the process is really simple. You will receive an email that asks you to provide the information, for example, like a certificate of enrollment, a copy of your passport, your student visa, social insurance number, and your 5 years residency. After that, you will just need to sign your forms and you're good to go.
What one piece of advice would you give international students hoping to pursue co-op?
Well, my only piece of advice would be don't give up. So for me, before I got my first job, I didn't have any experience. So also it was during COVID. It's really hard for me. Like it took me half a year to get my first job, but I didn't give up. Like I felt like for more than 20 times during the interview, but I don't care because I've developed my interview skills. After that, I no longer afraid to talk with people and I got my first job. So I know you guys are better than me. I know, so trust me, if you got your first job, you wouldn't need to worry about the second. Everything depends on you. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. I love your attitude and outlook, and it's wonderful experiences that you've shared with everyone today. So thank you very much. And I'm so pleased to pass this over to Pavan, who's going to talk to us a bit about experiential learning. Pavan.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Caitlin. Slight apologies for the late entry, but here I am, and we're going to be talking about some experiential learning outside of the classroom, because obviously, you know, it's just not going to be the classroom that we're going to be learning in. So if we can switch over to the next slide, I can show you a couple of pointers that I'm willing to talk about today with regards to experiential learning. So pretty much what's over here at Sprott. I'm going to be talking at Sprott specific because I am a Sprott student. And over here at Sprott, we have a bunch of clubs. And what happens when you become a club executive member is you get the experience of being a VP or a president or any executive member as such. And what happens over there is you're able to learn the exact processes that go behind running a club. For example, I came in as a first year not knowing what was going on. But in my second year, I applied to become a club executive at the Sprott Accounting Students Association, which is what my club is. And next year, once I go into my fifth year, I'm going to be the president of the same club. So it's about working up in the ranks. And why we have 12 clubs is because of the diversity of concentrations that we have. So each concentration has its own club. So in terms of getting involved, it's not like there's a lack of opportunity. There's so many opportunities out there. And that really helps you enhance your skills in terms of growing your network, your skills in terms of operations. So if you have to go and maybe do an interview, it's always something good to talk about. And in terms of networking, these clubs also host those networking events. So for example, the accounting club has networking events, a lot of them throughout the September and August time, because that is when the accounting firms are always looking out for people. And similarly, you got your finance club, your marketing club, your management club. So all of these clubs host these events and workshops, and it gives an opportunity for the students to network with individuals from the professional market. And once you grow your network, you're able to maybe secure a position, just like Sakura is talking about her co-op. You're able to secure a co-op because they know what you're capable of doing. And if you're wondering, oh, but maybe my resume is not ready, my cover letter is not ready, I've never really done an interview before, I don't know how to go about this. You really don't have to fear, because we have a lot of centers and advisors that actually help you and set you up for those interviews. And they really polish your resume and cover letter for you. And that's what the next bullet is about. So the Career Management Center, also known as the BCMC, they're very helpful in the way that you can sit down with them. So you book appointments with them, and in maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, however long you need, they're going to sit down and you can go to them with the desired application that you have. If, for example, you want to go to a big accounting firm, or if you want to go to a big tech firm like Nokia or BlackBerry, you can sit down with the career management centers, no matter what no matter what program you're in, and they're going to be running through, okay, let's fix this point and this point and this point in your resume, and you can say this in your cover letter. And then they can have mock interviews with you so that you're prepared to answer the questions that the professionals are going to be asking you in your interview. And what the advisors are, they're pretty much there to help you, guide you in the right path. This is both academically and non-academically. So they can say, you can probably join these clubs, or you can probably, find these extracurriculars to help you learn outside just the classroom. And that's what, we have a new prof, or I wouldn't say new prof, a fairly new prof, who has now officially launched a project-based learning course, Andrew Webb, and he joined when I joined in 2017. So there are opportunities like that where you can actually register in that course and have learning opportunity. For example, I was able to be a part of that, where I did an entire market analysis for a company in Ottawa. For confidentiality reasons, obviously I cannot mention their name, but I was able to do that, and I was able to put that on my resume, saying that I worked this. And when I went for my first ever co-op interview, I was able to say that, yes, I did this at Carleton. Similar to your coursework. Your coursework, for example, if you're doing entrepreneurship or if you're doing marketing, A lot of these coursework require you to do research, and you require to write papers and papers. What happens is, if you are able to excel in this, sometimes your paper can even be so good that you can send it to the company as a recommendation. And at the end of, in terms of the Sprott context, you have a final project called a strategic management paper. And this is a paper that is for you, or for individuals, to get together and actually recommend a strategy for a big company. And similarly, for engineering students, you have a final project where you put together a lot of components. I'm not sure of the terminology, sorry about that, but it's a final fourth year project where you get together as a group, and you're maybe from different parts of engineering, so computer engineering, computer softwares, electrical, and so you get together and you're able to do that final project. So these are all just, learning outside the classroom, and it's very important because it's not just the theory that you learn that's going to help you move forward. It's also about going out there, putting yourself in the shoes of what you're going to be in the future, and learning. Co-op is also, learning outside of the classroom, and this is also great ways to learn outside the classroom.
Well, thank you very much, Pavan and Sakura and Caitlin. That was all very informative. I guess one thing that occurred to me is I listened to both of you. It's really possible to sort of, as you progress through an undergraduate degree over 4 years, sort of learning all the different attributes of your program, to sort of gain this experience through work opportunities in co-op, but also through leadership endeavors, getting involved in student societies, and just dynamic different types of learning that you would do in a program like Sprott or business school or in engineering, or really any degree that Carleton has to offer. So that's great. I've seen some good questions coming through in the discussion feed, and I thought I would just bring some of them forward to you guys to explore a little bit. One question that I got a few times, people are asking about the additional time it takes to complete a degree and co-op at the same time. I wondered, maybe Sakura or Caitlin, if either of you had a thought on how that extra year adds value to a degree.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is a good question and a valid point. So co-op does add minimally 1 year to your program if you're doing 3 work terms. And Sakura, I think you're in that boat, eh? It added exactly 1 year to your communications and media studies program.
Yes, but I think for co-op students, you're allowed to take for more than 1 or 2 courses during the co-op term. In this case, like, you can start working while taking 1 courses at Carleton. I think it is really good. Yeah.
Yeah, you are. That's a good point. You are allowed to take at least, or I should say, not at least, a maximum of a half credit while you're out working. You can, if you're a really strong student, like some people, you can ask to take a little bit more than that, but in most cases it's a 0.5 credit. It does extend your degree. It makes it longer. And I could see some students think, well, why would I want to be in university for 5 years instead of 4? I think all the things that Sakura mentioned in terms of employability skills, the experience you get, it's really, really invaluable. So it's more like an investment of your time rather than, this is unfortunate that I have to be here a bit longer. Because remember, you're not studying for 5 years straight. That's interspersed with really, really great work experience. So it's going to go by really quickly. And I think you guys would both agree, even in the COVID landscape, university semesters go by awfully fast. So it'll be over before you know it.
Things I've always liked about co-op is that it really is a student-led initiative as well. So as a student moving through your degree, once co-op begins, you have the latitude to choose to apply to specific positions that you might find more interesting in interesting locations as well. So obviously, Ottawa being Canada's national capital city, G7 capital. I mean, there's just tons of stuff happening right here in the city. But for certain industries, you might find opportunities in cities like Toronto or Vancouver, or sometimes further afield as well. So from that perspective, you'll have a chance to kind of decide which ones look the most interesting and pursue that based on your interests as well. And as Caitlin and Sakura sort of alluded to, that extra year is really your chance to build that professional dimension and then seamlessly transition from student life with a CV and a LinkedIn profile and contacts at these major organizations as well. So lots and lots of benefits there. Pavan, curious to hear what you might think about your time as a student and all of the great volunteer work you did. You mentioned in Sprott, I know there's some interesting opportunities there for networking, for example. So have you been able to kind of facilitate some strong connections that you think you might benefit from post-graduation?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. And matter of fact, as just like Sakura, I'm also in co-op, and I was just going to jump in and say that, yes, the co-op does kind of push your years back, but not to worry. And I can definitely say that I secured a co-op at my desired accounting firm only and solely because of networking. I mean, that being said, I'm not like a D+ student. I'm not like a terrible student. I would consider myself an average, a little above average. However, what really gets your foot in the door is the fact that you go up to the employers and you say, "Hello, I am Pavan. This is who I am, and this is what I like to do." When you engage in conversation with them, at least from the account, at least from the business aspect, what's happening is they're able to see the personality you are, and they say that apart from who he is in his studies, or who she is in her studies, they also have that ability to communicate very openly. They're able to be a team player, and that's what's important in the employable world. So it's definitely there. The involvement, the networking, all of that plays a part in your future.
That's an interesting point to consider as well. I mean, beyond sort of the direct benefits of working professionally and being involved in student governance or student society, there's tons of skills you get as you move through your degree that are also directly beneficial for career purposes. So presentations, social skills, networking, all of which you sort of build and develop over your 4 years. So I think that's a really key point. Caitlin, a question that often comes up, and it certainly has in this feed today, many students are curious to get a better understanding of how much pay co-op actually might deliver and how that could impact student fees.
Oh, good question. So you're wondering how much the typical co-op student makes on a work term? Okay. So there is a range. I mean, like anything in life, there's a range, and we've seen some jobs, not many, but some do, some are advertised as low as $14.25 an hour, which is the Canadian minimum wage. Those are not the majority though. And remember, you are free to apply to whatever you want. You're not forced to apply to, one of the sort of lower end positions. You can apply to something that might pay $25, $26 an hour. I would say on average for co-op at the undergraduate level, you're looking at about $19, $20 an hour. And of course, over the span of 4 months, that does add up to a fair bit of money and offsets, tuition hugely. So most co-op positions are 35 hours a week minimum, 16 weeks. So I'm no math major, but you're looking at several thousands of dollars there. So it's a really, really, money aside, all the experience and connections that are made are huge, but yes, there's a financial incentive as well.
Yeah, I think that's another key piece as well. I mean, of course, being able to help with your fees by earning a salary is massive, but of course, it's sort of like the non-paid aspects of it that I think you really benefit from in a bigger way, you could say. I mean, having that really extensive CV, that network of contacts, LinkedIn profile, references, invaluable. Mindful that we are more or less out of time, I just wanted to all three of you for speaking to this topic today. It's an introduction to this topic, and there's going to be more questions. And of course, we're available to answer those questions in the various discussion feeds after this event. For anybody that doesn't have co-op on their degree already, if it's something that you want to add, I put my email address in the feed here. You can email me to discuss that further. And of course, international@carleton.ca as well. So still opportunities to add this to your degree. And as Pavan sort of alluded to, there's all kinds of things outside of co-op that also help you. So regardless, you're going to benefit from this in a massive way. I want to thank everybody again for taking time for joining us for this session, to thank our panelists for their expert experiences and for sharing those. And I'll see everybody in the feed shortly. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
One.